I'm not crazy.
I'm not rich.
And I'm not Asian. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. This is my special guest.
Temporary woo.
And he's...
Eternal Poon.
And I'm Perpetual Ho, and this is our discussion of Crazy Rich Asians. Like I said, I'm not Asian, so I thought, why don't I get people who are, so that way we can have a discussion about this movie that's apparently all about Asians. I'm just crazy. So, you don't have to tell people your real name if you don't want to. That's fine, if you'd rather just leave it at...
Just leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's temporary woo.
Yeah, perfect. So we have to call him temporary. No, that's okay. Yeah, this movie is really popular, and in its own way, it's really important. And I wanted to bring people in because, if nothing else, people, like all my friends, I've been talking about this movie with all my friends for about 2 weeks now, and we can't seem to stop. And so I'm kind of hoping that if we submit this for perpetuity, wait, whatever. Then that way I can stop talking about it, and that would be nice, and we can kind of put it to rest. Yeah. Because if I'm honest, I didn't like the movie, but not because it's Asians. It's just I'm not really a fan of movies about rich people. I don't really have any sympathy for them. But there are other issues that I felt as though needed to be spoken about, and quite frankly, if I say them, it's going to be interpreted differently than if I get other people to say them. And I think you know what I mean by other people. See? Okay, so...
You're going to start with a question?
I think we should start with you because, like you said, the actual title of the film.
Oh, as I was watching the movie, I kept on thinking about the title. Why Asians have to be in the title? You know, you don't call Pretty Woman Crazy Rich White Guy or Lost in Translation White People in Japan.
Although you could. Actually, that's because that's the biggest problem I had with Lost in Translation, was it really was just about white people in Japan. This place is so strange. No, it isn't. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think maybe because of the book. The book was called Crazy Rich Asians.
Well, the rest of the world renamed the movie and took Asian out.
Right.
And for, you know, obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons being what? See, he can say this. I can't. Go ahead.
Why play the race card? You know, the race card is almost a foolproof device for the filmmakers. If it fails, then they could blame the whole world being racist.
Okay. So if people don't watch this movie, it's because they don't like Asians.
But
I mean that's their reasoning. I'm not saying that's the truth.
But ironically, the movie is making tons of money.
Yes.
Third week, #1 in a row.
Okay.
And, so it's like the movie producers. You know, they set out to make a bad movie, and it's gonna be really, you know, and it turned out to be a big success.
So you're saying it's a bad movie?
Intentionally.
Yes, because why? No, it's not intentionally bad. I think it's bad because it's taking a perspective of taking shots at Asians. To differentiate Asian Americans, they want to say, hey, look at me, right? I am bad, I'm cool. Look at the Asians, they're all crazy, rich, they're all sons of, you know, and so it's unfair.
Wow, okay. I mean, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah.
Wait, you didn't get that in the movie?
I felt like there was this list of stereotypes or things that they had to address about Asian American stereotypes. Sorry, Asian stereotypes that they had to checklist off of it. So there's this complaint or like Asian guys aren't portrayed as sexy. So you see like 2-3 scenes of showering. Like they really linger on it.
Sure.
And then they did this thing about joke about Asian guilt, and then the Asian. What the Asian mom does all the time, like she's always saying like you're fat, you're thin, let me make you some soup. Like there's a lot of that stuff in it that it's sort of answering to.
Well, what about when Ken Jeong's character?
Ken Jeong.
When he was first introduced, he pretended not, you know, to speak English properly, and he had the broken English, and then he's like, you know, shifted to, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I went to Cal State Fullerton.
I speak perfect English, and therefore I'm
Meanwhile,
cool.
he's dressed like a two-how Elvis.
And how about his son being Long Duck Dong's reincarnation?
Yeah, the creepy son. Like I said to people, if some of the things in this movie, if it was directed by someone like Judd Apatow, the Asian American community would be up in arms because, like you said, the creepy brother that's always sort of filming Constance Wu from behind the curtain or something.
Oh, the fat dude.
The fat kid.
Yeah.
The what would we call this? Spatially challenged, whatever. The fat kid. Get over it.
Yeah.
That's a stereotype, and the question, like we've been throwing back and forth, is it okay for people to indulge in their own stereotypes? Because it really is. It just has to be. And people say, well, it was in the book. Well, yeah, but
It boils down to this. Would I get more offended if a film made by a white filmmaker made fun of me, or a film made by Asians making fun of me? You know, and the answer is it's the same. You know, it doesn't matter. If you're taking, you know, hold on, I gotta regroup my thoughts here.
I'm leaving that in.
No, if you're taking shots at me, you know, and I gotta kind of fight back. You know, when I see something when I feel offended, I cringe in a movie, and I've done that, you know, several times.
How many? Like 6, 7 times, or like 2, 3 times?
Well,
I mean, in this
maybe
movie alone,
more than 4, definitely.
Yeah, that's high.
Okay.
You know, that's so therefore I cannot enjoy the movie as it is. If you know, it's not like Ken Jeong's character in
The Hangover.
The Hangover, where he jumps out of the trunk naked. That's an individual crazy guy that, you know, I would never say, you know, I'm not him. But in the movie CRA, can we call it CRA?
Yeah,
sure.
Time?
I think people know.
It's the whole culture of everyone in Singapore.
Yeah, I would say there's more cues that would lead a person to believe that. Yes, because there's so many other people acting similarly.
Okay, so he's saying because in The Hangover, like
He's
Mr.
just-
Chow,
he's
it's
just
a
Mr.
little- it's
Chow.
never
Yeah.
a movie.
Character.
And
But this is a whole.
I love
culture
Mr. Chow because
Yeah.
I used to hang out with people like that, and they're fun.
To play devil's advocate for a second, like wouldn't you're not offended when they do that small dick joke and
In which way?
In the Hangover movies,
Yeah. Because I could
What
argue
was
that
the joke?
it was just that he has a
he
very
just keeps
small
showing
penis.
his really like mini.
But did somebody in the
Microsized.
movie actually say all
They
Asians
literally
have-
show it in 2.
Yeah, they didn't have to say it. They just
Yeah.
there's one Asian guy in the movie and he has a small penis, and they make small penis jokes.
Yeah.
And
Well-
nobody comes out and goes, "Ha ha, a small Asian penis." But you know, the inference is pretty clear.
Yeah.
But I don't see that's what I'm
Right,
saying. I
right.
don't see that character as me. He's not representing me. He's
Right.
just representing himself.
Okay. Okay. Cool,
You know, and
cool.
so that's how I felt.
I
Right.
look at it like this. I've been thinking about this movie, and I thought about how, for black people, how the movies have progressed till the point that from where they started to now Black Panther level.
Yeah.
This is not Black Panther. We're not even there yet. But when I look at it like that, like you look at some black comedies where a lot of black comedies, like Eddie Murphy movies or the Wayans brothers, they do like facial transformation comedies. They turn into fat people. They turn into
Old Jewish men.
old people.
If he
babies.
wants to call himself Muhammad Ali, so what?
Old people, babies, and white people.
Fat people,
So
white people.
I and I know this from comedy. Like if you do stand up, you go up on stage. The first thing you do is you have to make fun of yourself for a few seconds first. So I feel like for the Asian American to on screen to step into like a worldwide, everybody's watching them. That this list that they're checking off feels like they have to do that first to undo the joke
But they're
by
not doing
making
it-
fun of themselves.
But they're not doing it to themselves. They're doing it to the Asian people. This movie makes a very clear point of who is Asian American and who's Asian, and it's definitely from an Asian American's point
So-
of view.
Right, because
telling the
the
story.
Asian American is Constance Wu's character and her mother,
yeah,
and who else?
but
That's about it.
yeah, no,
right?
but I thought most of the jokes are because they go to Singapore. They're all
Right,
made in
but
Singapore.
what he's saying is like the Asian Americans actually come across comparatively normal because they don't. They're not filthy rich. They don't dress like an Australian's nightmare. They don't misbehave in these kinds of ways. Or so it does, as you say, it kind of reserves quote unquote normal or flat for Asian Americans. So in a way, it kind of, as you say, you're saying it sort of replicates that weird, creepy tourism kind of like, look at these weird, funny people.
Well, it's like Alice in Wonderland or The Wizard of Oz, you know, but those are fantasies, right? But Singapore is very much a realistic city, and they're fantasizing how Singapore would be. Like everybody would be crazy and rich in it, right? So, and of course the brown Asians.
Everybody in the all four of the brown people that
are
you see.
servants, right?
Yeah.
And so, look, it's probably blasphemy to say this movie sucks because it's doing so well. People would just say, well, it's just a comedy, or you're just jealous, or I'm happy for its success because it will, it's opening doors for a lot of other Asian American movies. In fact, it just came out this week, Searching by John Cho.
Sure.
It's gaining a lot of critical praises, and I can't wait to see that movie because it doesn't have searching for Asians in it, so it's just searching.
Right.
So until we drop the race card, we're not going to be able to be equal to those other American movies. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are exceptions like White Man Can't Jump, but that's a joke that we have to get. So is Crazy Rich Asian a joke that we're not getting? That's what I'm saying.
But they had to do it back then too. They had to address these kind of. They had to address what the stereotypical things that people think about them, to start as a starting point.
Wait, which movie are you talking about?
Like you said, White Man Can't Jump, for example.
Right, but
it's just like that's something these.
Which
people
and
say.
that wasn't. I mean, that wasn't even really a black movie. It was
No?
It was produced by. But it certainly wasn't like
Ron
John
Sheldon,
Singleton.
I
Or,
think.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah, but
Alright.
it did address some of those issues. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't heavy. It was
Sure.
a comedy. Nobody really cared about. Nobody was offended, I don't think.
I'm sure
No,
somebody
it
was, but but the world was different too, because that's the other thing is, social media. Look, without social media, you think
That's
Constance
true.
Wu would have been in this movie?
Oh, are we opening that can of worms now?
Maybe we should save that can of worms for later. But we will open it. Let's see, because all right, I want to go back to something you just said.
What?
This is a comedy and no one should take it seriously. That how that gets deployed because
Can I?
But there's such a heavy agenda, like underlying.
You can say that.
No, but
I
we
can't-
all know it. I mean, it's there.
yes,
It's there.
that's not what I didn't say. I didn't know it. I just said. that
I'll say it. I'll say it.
Okay.
But do you feel like it's important to separate the movie and the what the movie is representing right now? I feel like it could represent. It might not be a good
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
That's I think it's
Yeah.
an okay movie. But I feel like it's like a zeitgeist thing right now.
Exactly.
And people want to cheer for Asian Americans on screen. I don't have a problem with that.
No,
So
me either.
I cheer for it, but I just think it's an okay movie. I don't think it's a
Well,
great
the movie is supposed to be revolutionary. Everybody's enjoying it, even before they got into the theater, because they were championing. It's the first Asian, all cast Asian American cast.
They
20
did that like in Joy Luck Club or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
they're
that's
just
what they're
picking-
saying, the
picking
first
up where
major-
they left off. I
Right.
don't think it's the first one
Since
Right?
Joy Luck Club.
Right.
Since Joy
that
Luck
I
Club.
can remember. Better
Yeah.
Luck Tomorrow.
But see, here's my question: is it, as you say, the zeitgeist? Is it revolutionary internally or externally? To me, internally, it's not. Internally, it's a romantic comedy. It's wealth porn.
Well,
There's
you-
nothing
of,
really
yeah,
special
yeah.
about it. However, the fact that it's set in Asia and has an Asian cast and has obviously caused this gigantic conversation,
Right.
that to me, yes, it is revolutionary. The local
Yeah.
example I always
Sure.
use is a movie like 10 Years. 10 Years is not necessarily an artistic triumph, but for what it says and when it said it, that's kind of what's going to make it historically valuable.
Right. It took like it captured the
Snapshot.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
so in that sense,
So-
to me, like I didn't like Crazy Rich Asians. I just didn't because I don't care about rich people. Like, oh, my husband's cheating on me. You can afford therapy. Get out of here. But if it helps, like you said, if it helps better movies get made with Asian Americans in it,
Right.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
This is just it's just not a story. I wouldn't care who is in that story.
that's a plot of the wife shopping and hiding her her shopping stuff.
Because she makes more money than her.
Yeah,
husband.
which
That
is-
is so contrived. No one on Earth on this planet would do that. It's just so weird.
Speaking
Anyways,
of contrived, somebody told me this. The opening scene to me was very contrived. That in 1995, this horrendously rich woman somehow gets stuck in the rain and then goes into a hotel that obviously didn't get her confirmation email. And as it turns out, that's in the book. That's 1986. It's not 1995, which still seems slightly contrived, but I can swallow it a lot more easily as 1986. But But to me, a lot of the movie seemed rather contrived.
That's contrived.
But that's 'cause I'm white.
You know, if that's supposed to be the most expensive hotel there,
Yeah.
whoever books it obviously would be a rich person.
Yes,
You
and they're going to
don't-
know.
And you don't do that to a super rich person.
Yeah.
So because they might just buy the hotel and fire you.
Exactly.
Which is what happened in the book.
Yes, and yeah, and,
Look,
and
you
So
know,
you read the book?
halfway.
I didn't-
I haven't
read
finished it.
that.
I started it. It's pretty fast read. You know, it's good writing. You know, I must say, you know, the movie has some good writing in it as well. And I'm not taking away from the success of it, but everybody has their opinion, and I'm just telling you what I didn't like about it. If there was one movie that's supposed to be revolutionary about Asian Americans, I wish it wouldn't be this one with this particular cast. You know, and so
Yeah. If I were to design the revolution of Asian Americans, and this is the first movie, I wouldn't have chosen this particular story or novel to adapt.
okay.
but
But
you know,
I don't think we can control that.
to give
so.
credit where it's due,
Right.
this movie I imagine would be an impossible movie to get greenlit for production because of all the hurdles. You know, it's hard to it must have been almost impossible to get this movie made. So to credit to its success, you know, so it's it's well deserved that way. But that doesn't mean I can't make criticism about it.
Yeah.
It's on the level of like a Sex in the City movie to me, like the way the story.
I'll even
plays
be
out.
generous. I'll give it something more than that, just
Yeah.
because
It's better than Sex and the City. I think,
would
you know.
guess. I don't know.
The writing is not bad. You know, I like the ending. You know, where Rachel Chu's character confronts Michelle Yeoh's character. The mahjong scene was very well written, I think. You know, and it's. But again, you know, I couldn't buy into the characters because of who's playing the characters. So let's
opening
open
the
up.
can?
Yeah, let's open up that can of worms.
All right.
Look, okay,
So-
thing one, I don't know anything about her. Every time I see an article about this chick, it's just her. She's like blasting Matt Damon. Okay, redo it.
No, I'm leaving it in. You said it. I'm leaving it in.
No, I mean I don't have a problem. The only thing I know that is that she likes talking about how white people steal roles from her, and from my perspective, I haven't seen her show. It seems like she complained her way to getting a lead role in the movie.
And
That's
that's
all I
okay
know.
with you? If that's all
I don't
you
know.
That's all you need to know.
I think if to be an Asian American actor, it must be hard. So
Yeah.
if you beat the system, good for you. You know, I don't know.
Look, anyone who
But,
gets successful in the business, it's not because of their race. It's because they're talented, they're charismatic. Everybody loves them for who they are.
Or they go to Harvey Weinstein's hotel room, one or the other.
Well, be that as it may, I think, to complain your way up there is really not something that, is encouraged or, it should be done at all. When she did that back then, I was so embarrassed as an Asian American.
What exactly did she do?
What did
Just,
she do?
for context.
Oh.
Or do you want me to tell?
Well, I think a year ago. I think on
2 years by now.
On two occasions that she blasted Hollywood on the internet. Every time there was a whitewashing of casting in Hollywood going on, Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell, and for some reason she watched the trailer of The Great Wall.
Yes.
By
Feng Xiaogang, wasn't it?
No.
Or no,
Zhang
Zhang
Yimou.
Yimou, sorry.
The Great Wall by edit this. The Great Wall by Zhang Yimou.
I'll leave my own mistake in. I'm not saying all Chinese directors look alike. I'm not saying that.
I just have a bad memory.
See?
But you could have made the same movie.
Yeah. Well,
But anyways, what I
I think I would
remember
have enjoyed it more if it was Feng Xiaogang. I'm sorry.
But
what
I
you remember,
was
she
that
responded to the American trailer.
American trailer.
Right. I never did watch the Chinese one, but it would be interesting because I don't think it was the same.
So, you're talking about the international trailer that centers on Matt Damon,
Of course.
because it's just trying to be. This is marketing. It's
Yeah,
nothing-
because
nothing
Matt Damon
personal.
is famous.
Well, if anyone who would travel around the world would understand that, but I don't think Constant Wu in real life traveled far.
So I didn't
So-
see the movie, but you guys tell
I
me
did,
that Matt Damon was not,
He's not
the white savior.
No,
he was not
he's
the
not.
hero in the,
No.
the movie.
Well, he was one of the heroes.
yeah, but
Yeah, he had-
But it was like a team thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
It wasn't just his show,
Sure.
you know. But
But
even if it is, okay, she had no right to, you know, make comments about it by just watching the trailer. Just like if we're sitting here talking about Crazy Rich Asian and we've only seen the trailer, it wouldn't be fair to her.
we can respond to the trailer,
Yeah.
but we couldn't respond to the whole film.
you want to do a review of the trailer?
So
People do that. You've seen that. Like trailer reaction videos.
So Constant Wu was basically saying all kinds of unintelligent comments about that, like white. You know, we don't need no white people to save us. So when she's saying that, I was wondering, does she mean save us Asian Americans or Asians? You know, now who was she representing at that moment in time? At any rate, so at that time I decided to actually stop watching her in anything. I was enjoying Fresh Off the Boat right up until that point. And I said, okay, I'm going to stop watching this show because it's no longer funny. I don't like that character, and I don't think I could believe in any other character she ever played. So now, a year later,
It's harsh,
Wow.
man.
a year later, she's cast in CRA, and all is forgiven by everybody.
Sure.
Man, Asian have a short memory span. I swear they do.
But I think nobody's that mad about it.
No, I mean not. To be mad, I would have to know her personally. You know what I mean?
Oh, nobody's that upset over that. They don't want her to be in that part. I don't know. You
I have
follow.
no idea.
Well, I think
Just
there,
glad
there,
Scarlett Johansson didn't
there
get
could have
it.
been better. I think there are other actresses to choose from. Jessica Henwick would have been a great choice.
I was thinking Ali Wong.
Ali Wong would have been a great choice. You know, and so, but you know, look, she knows she did wrong. You know, as soon as she was cast, I think she deleted all those comments she ever said because I finally got what I want. You know, so
She did. She actually did that.
yeah, it was
Oh,
deleted.
okay,
I
okay.
think
So
because
you
I couldn't
made sure.
because I couldn't find it anymore because I was trying to look it up for
Okay,
reference.
okay.
So at any rate, forget about that. You know, so
okay.
now I mean her character. It's like Robert De Niro saying that he rarely does interviews because it disrupts the characters that he's trying to portray, and people, you know, there will be less conviction of the characters he would play if people knew what he was really like in real life, right?
He's not bad grandpa.
Probably not.
He's not bad grandpa, and he's not the psycho killer. You know, he's probably just some really, you know, sensitive guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the mystery that All Stars should carry,
Right.
and not to, you know, show off, you know, who you really are. Because when you do, then you try to, you know, play this cute, you know, 30-something girl professor, economics, game theory professor.
Who has the best classroom lighting in human history. Like, that's one of the things that I'm always a stickler for dumb details, but like, you know, she's got spotlights and she can go completely dark in her classroom, and she somehow finds a poker champion dumb enough to fall for this obvious ruse, like, oh, come to my class and we'll play games. Stop it. It just, again, it seemed very
I thought
contrived.
she was paying him to lose or something.
It was
No, I'm sure she beat him fair and square because she's so smart.
Okay.
She's
That
smart.
introduction-
She's just obviously an emotional jellyfish because she's intimidated by old, rich women.
But that introduction of her character does nothing for the movie dramatically. I mean, if you look at Pretty Woman, okay, you see Julia Roberts. You know, she's, you know, a street working girl, and
Which is silly.
Because as a prostitute is a contrast to Richard Gere being a rich dude.
yeah,
But this, I don't
But
know
then-
how the economics professor
Right,
worked
but that's-
into this
it
thing. I
doesn't.
don't-
It doesn't at all.
But
That's the
but they
problem.
kind of sold it as like she's intelligent or she's academic, but I don't think that really worked. There was one part where she talks to the queen up
The
front,
princess
the
lady
princess
in the church.
who wrote something about economics, and
Yeah.
then they're like, I
Oh,
read
they
your
become
article.
best friends,
and then they
right,
become
right,
yeah.
in
right.
front of
Yeah,
Michelle
BFF,
Yeoh.
right,
And
right.
she's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it's academic. Ooh, okay. And
Yeah. Oh, that's different.
you know,
Whoa.
you know, but
He's not a doctor or a lawyer, but you know, I'll take the Division III title of professor of economics.
I don't have a problem with it. But I just didn't think it. Oh, okay. Didn't really work.
I mean,
that part.
the whole,
But
her whole character doesn't work in,
Right.
in
But,
that way. I mean, just the awkward moment of when they're on the plane, riding the first class, and when she found out that he's really rich, you could see her expression. It's like reading, "I've hit the jackpot."
Yeah.
Instead of getting mad or offended, like, why didn't you keep this for me? You know, and if
I'm gonna be rich.
if her character is grounded,
Sorry.
right, in her integrity of being whoever she's supposed to be, you know, wouldn't she get mad over that, or, you know?
In the real world, yeah. Just like he probably would have mentioned to her before they went into their suite on the plane. Yeah. Oh, by the way, my family is filthy rich.
And then 2 minutes later, they have sex on a plane,
Yeah. Yeah.
off screen, but
Which is
the
funny
lights were turned
'cause-
off, you know?
I don't think it was the same airline, but Singapore was the A380, like one of those. They actually like on the ticket, it's like you will not have sex. Because somebody wrote, I remember a comment. It was like, if I pay £8,000 for a business class suite, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want in that room. Like, yeah, that just even that part of Singapore doesn't get addressed.
So
Like,
yeah, exactly. So I agree with Michelle Yeoh. I mean, she's definitely a gold digger, you know, in terms of from the mother's point of view.
yeah. But the
And
only way
everybody
out, the only way out of that would be for someone from one of those other equally rich families. Do you know what I mean? Like anybody with less money than you you have the option of going, you little gold digger, you want what I have. So, yeah. I just, like I said, I didn't feel like the characters, a lot of their behaviors and their responses didn't make any sense. Like if you're going to be an economics professor at NYU, you're not going to be so easily flustered.
Exactly.
You know.
I mean, at least show that she has money trouble. Or maybe her mom is a big spender, and you know they're trying to make ends meet. You know, then that would be more,
Yeah.
you know, understandable.
I don't think the writing has the depth that you're analyzing this with. So
Probably
you could
not.
easily.
I don't even
rip
think
this
the
thing
original
apart
book
if you
did
wanted
either.
to. The only part that I thought I think, because Michelle Yeoh maybe pushed for it. That like the mom was actually.
But it's not that deep as
Fine.
it's not
No,
as
it's
deep
not.
as you think. If you think about all the romantic
no,
comedies,
it isn't as deep as I am thinking
No,
it isn't.
but it's not as deep. What I'm analyzing is
Uh-huh.
not that deep because
Uh-huh.
if you look at all the romantic comedies, Cinderella, right? What's her background in the beginning, right? She's bullied by her sisters, stepsisters, and you know she has to clean toilets, and you know she's basically in the pits of her world, isn't
Sure,
it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but in this case, that's not happening, right? So we don't feel bad for her at all.
No.
You know, when she packs up to leave, you know, I was gonna say have a good flight back home.
Yeah, pretty much. And even the whole weird, spoiler alert, whatever. Even the whole weird subplot with the reason her mother left China, it just seemed like,
Have we given spoilers?
I don't care.
You give spoilers in your
I don't.
videos?
I try not to. It depends. Even movies I don't like, but I didn't actually give anything away, but just there's this
I think
weird.
we gave a lot away. It's
So
okay.
You
It's,
better put a spoiler.
You've
alert
had
in the
3
beginning.
weeks. I don't want to hear it. If you're watching this instead of that movie, you got issues.
Hey, ironically, it's really closing out in Hong Kong and Asia. It's not. It doesn't have a play date in China. So,
Okay.
you know.
Well, yeah, because for people in Asia, this is not new and exciting and different. Or if it is, it's in a problematic way. Like, why are they making us look like this?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have Shanghai noodles there, but when you're in Shanghai, you don't really call it Shanghai noodles.
Right. You really don't.
noodles.
It's just noodles.
Yeah, it's just noodles. Yeah, but this issue of representation that, you know, for a lot of even Asian Americans that have lived here or Asian Americans that grew up in the U.S., they have representation in Chinese movies, in Japanese movies, in Korean movies. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted to be represented in Hollywood, and I think it is an important thing, and it certainly does need to happen. But then, to me, the more important thing becomes what stories get told and how do those stories get told.
Well, I understand that because in the last 2 decades, the Asian film markets have flourished a great deal. In fact, Hollywood have invested largely in a lot of these Asian markets, setting up offices in Korea, China, all over Asia, right? So, and they're making Asian movies, right? So that leaves, but yet at the same time, Asian American actors are still struggling to get minor roles cast in movies and TV shows. And so obviously I understand how important a movie like this for them is. For them, they think, oh, it's going to open a lot of doors for me. I'm going to get, I'm going to get cast in the next audition and all that. But I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way, because for every Brad Pitt, there is 100,000 other Brad Pitt who have failed and who are still waiting tables, right? So that dream is not in color. I mean, it's not because of the color of your skin. Even if you're white, you're not going to be Brad Pitt, So if you
don't, I know it.
If you played a race card, that could be dangerous. I don't know. I mean, this work, but is there going to be a second CRA?
Well, there is,
Okay.
but that's the other.
So he's asking, did we use up all our Asian guild to make
right.
a movie?
Exactly. And
What do you mean our Asian?
Me and him.
Not
you.
guilt.
I know. Yeah.
Why would it be a guilt though?
Well, no, he means in terms of being able. How would you say
you're-
that? It is actually
Yeah,
my Asian guilt.
Yeah, it is.
Hollywood, we're going to feel bad and say, all right, well, you
No,
should.
let him have one.
My thing with representation, with people getting roles, it's something that I've wondered about when you look at like African Americans in movies. There's a difficult thing to try and negotiate with representation and characters, and that is how much does an actor's ethnicity or a character's ethnicity, how much does it function in the narrative? A lot of times I'm fond of saying that Will Smith isn't black, he's green, meaning that people will pay money to watch him no matter what he does.
They're all green.
And his
They're all green.
as opposed to someone like Monique, what I mean is that Will Smith doesn't he can be in movies where the fact that he's black doesn't ever get mentioned or played on in the narrative. And but even that's a double-edged sword.
You're saying he's like he transcends being the black dude
In a sense, yeah,
and then you can
because
watch
he's
him
popular enough.
internationally enough, because like I'll see him in Men in Black 3
Right.
or 4 or whatever.
I mean, well, Men in Black, there's still, because of some of the things he says and the way he behaves,
okay.
there's still those nods. But you look at, like, I Am Legend, the fact that he was black had absolutely nothing to do with the entire film.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, for me, Denzel Washington is more that way.
Well, him
Yeah,
too.
he transcends
Obviously,
him,
yeah.
yeah.
Denzel Washington. But then, because, okay, let's suppose if we increased representation for Asian Americans, how do you operationalize that? Do you put somebody in a movie? I mean, yes, you should put them in a movie because they're a good actor, but will your community, will you get upset because you just took a guy and made him play a quote-unquote white role? That, like, how Asian is too Asian and how much is not enough Asian? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have to be a martial artist or a computer geek. We got that.
right.
But does he have to, like, I can't do it that week, boss. I got to go home for Chinese New Year. Like, how do you negotiate that? Because that is interesting to me. How do you tell stories?
Well, I think to bring up a good example, or the best example there ever will be, is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is actually an Asian American guy, and his success is not because of his martial arts. I don't think so at all. I think it's because of his charisma and the way his attitude, right? He never saw himself as an American, nor particularly Chinese. He was just an entity, infusing both cultures together. Even his fighting style has that, right? So it's the uniqueness that counts, I think.
Right. One of the things that really bugged me was when Constance Wu, she said at one point something about no Asian American has ever made one movie and become an international superstar.
It's like, oh my God.
And then I looked up when she was born, and I almost kind of forgive her
Yeah.
a little, but not enough.
So she needs to make Enter the Constance.
I bet you someone in the valley is making that video right now, but that's another story.
Look, I think it's because we're in a Trump era now. Everybody's talking in superlatives, and it's like, I'm the most this, I'm
Right. But I think you're right about Bruce Lee, that what people miss, like if you go back and watch The Big Boss, his first film as an adult, because he was a child star in Hong Kong and he was a cha-cha
that was a
dancer.
Chinese film.
Right, but that don't matter. I'm okay with that.
No, I'm talking about
But the point, yeah. But
filmmakers and all that.
what I'm trying to say is, in The Big Boss, Like, I say this about him, about people like Bridget Lin. When Bruce Lee is in the frame, you can't not look at him. Like, that's just, and that's what you say, that charisma.
Yeah.
I think in some ways he did become famous because of martial arts, but it's also because he was so much better at it. But it's combined, as you said, with the fact that he had that charisma. He just had that screen magnetism.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get grief about this, but Donnie Yen doesn't have that. Donnie Yen can beat people up, but Wu Jing has it.
Wait,
okay?
Donnie's not in CRA.
Wu Jing has it now.
Right.
Wu Jing has it now.
Yes.
He didn't have it for a long
But I'm
time.
saying, like, if it was just martial arts, then why isn't Donnie Yen, you know, it's because he just doesn't have
He
that
isn't, right,
charisma.
exactly.
Whereas, yeah, Wu Jing now that he's been given the opportunity,
Well,
he really does have that charisma. You have to have people,
It's
as
the
you
whole,
say,
it's the whole package.
you want to watch them.
It's
If
all
you're
package.
watching a romantic comedy, there have to be people you're attracted to one way or another.
Yes, and you care for.
Why is that funny? Why is that
I
funny?
don't find her that bad, but okay.
Well, I didn't say anybody was or wasn't.
No,
I'm
no,
just,
no. I don't think Constance Wu is that. Like, even, like, I don't dislike her the amount that he does, I guess.
What are you pointing to?
Or you, or you.
I don't know. I don't dislike it. It doesn't really, like...
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I don't hate her because I don't know her, but she doesn't represent me.
Okay,
And
okay.
when I see the movie CRA, I cannot empathize with her character because I know her, you know, background, what she's done and everything. You know, it's like Mel Gibson doing another Jewish movie now. You know, nobody's gonna buy that, right? So.
What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean, another Jewish movie? That's an awesome title, by the way. Sounds more like Mel Brooks instead of Mel
Another
Gibson.
Jewish movie.
Another
Mel
Jewish
Gibson
movie.
film.
Yeah, by Mel Gibson. And you know what? I'll just say this as a public service announcement. Anytime that you think you're not a really good person, listen to those answering machine tapes and you'll realize that you're a lovely human being. Holy shit.
By Mel Gibson, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And so, we're in an age that if you're a public person, you really have to be careful what you say, because things come back to haunt you.
Yes.
Having that standard now, why are we giving Constant Wu a free pass? It's because I think the Chinese Asian or Asian American community has waited too long for a movie like CRA to come by, to be so successful, to open doors for them, for more opportunities, more Asian projects. I'm sure more Asian American projects are in the works now. That might help everybody, including myself. And so we'll have to see. But as far as CRA, I hope they do a better job next time, because I don't know it. I wish the director had a more global vision for the movie, that he takes care of both Asians and the Asian Americans, giving them both the respect that they deserve. For instance, in execution level, what's up with all the 50s Chinese pop songs? Are we that behind?
That was my problem with it.
You know,
Okay,
are we
yeah.
that far behind in the times? We've made
No,
pop
no,
songs
yeah.
beyond that era.
Well, some of them were
No?
the 80s, weren't they?
No,
I thought,
Not
Teresa
I thought they
Tang.
were.
not the
Yeah.
Teresa.
Yeah, there was
Tang
Teresa.
stuff.
Yeah, but there was Sally.
There-
Ye
that's-
was a-
There's one Sally.
There was
was
some-
That's,
yeah.
that stuff.
but even that,
but
the
Sally
80s
Ye
is
was
still,
singing an old song though.
Right.
So.
Well, no, she was singing a cover by Madonna.
Oh, okay.
Material,
Right,
okay.
Material,
So
yeah.
that's in the
Okay,
80s,
okay,
right?
okay.
But the Teresa Tang stuff, my parents don't listen to that stuff anymore. You know,
Right.
that's how old it is. And so I don't know if it was just ignorance by the director, or he just
No,
wants
I
to make a
think
point.
he's
He's a musical director too, right?
you know.
He directed Setup, the
Fast and
dance,
Furious movies.
a dance movie.
Yeah,
forget
I
what
mean,
it
I mean, I think we talked about this before. It may be
Yeah.
that that's the music he associates because of maybe his parents listened to it.
But in this movie, by listening to that song, and you look at the visuals that's presented, it doesn't match, because they're showing today's Singapore and they're playing old music, right? It doesn't, it's, in reality, those songs are supposed to create nostalgia,
Yeah.
like the Wong Kar-wai movies, right? So, but in this case, it doesn't. So you feel really strange about listening to this music. Now, of course, the argument would be, well, American people would know these songs, and therefore it's fresh to them. And that's my case in point. Is this
no,
movie
they don't.
is
Okay, here's my question.
specifically made for
Are
American
you saying
audiences.
Asian Americans or
Are you saying Asian
when you say
Americans
Americans,
would know the
do you mean so Asian Americans would know those songs? Asian Americans that are 20 years old
They wouldn't know
25?
those songs.
Okay, I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the target audience.
I know.
for the
Yeah,
movie.
I know.
But I'm just saying
bring it
that,
up.
that it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Look, if this was made 20 years ago, this movie would have been made by Wayne Wang, who directed the Joyland Club, because that whole aesthetic is in this whole movie. It's like those
But
red
it
rooms.
feels
with
fake though.
Delicate.
Wayne Wang
it's
has,
just like this Orientalist.
but
view.
Wayne Wang
it's-
is
a-
more authentic though. He grew up here and.
But
We're in
maybe
Hong Kong,
he
by the way.
is, but then he doesn't direct it in that authentic feel. When I watch Joyland Club, it's always like it's like
That could be the performances of the actors.
no,
I
it's
think.
it's it's how they're looking at everything. It's the
Okay.
it's the music, like you said.
I like to see that. We watch that movie again. This is just to compare.
It's like the delicate decor. Like there's nothing Western in these places that they like. There's nothing. It's all Chinese, and then
Well,
everybody's making dumplings. And your mom's telling
You're
you,
right.
"Oh,
I mean-
this means that," and I'm doing this.
Wait,
'cause
are you
it means
talking about
this.
Joy Luck Club or
Those
Both,
movies.
CRA.
He made another one called Eatable Tea as well.
right? Okay, no, I'm just making sure that we're
The Wayne Wang.
well because in Crazy Rich Asians they're making
yeah,
dumplings.
and then there's these shots of people making dumplings and steam.
and we talked about it. It seems like this movie presents a very stereotypical view of Asia, almost an Asian. Would you say it's an Asian American view of Asia?
the
That's-
gaze of the director is like that. That's my problem.
That's where
Yeah.
Could've
my
updated
main
it.
problem lies.
Yeah, he
Because
could've-
it creates a wedge right between the Asian Americans and the Asian community.
Right.
because I don't.
You know,
feel
after
like,
watching it, I got confused of who I am. Am I Asian or Asian American?
you're
So-
sitting down, and you're like, oh, you want it to represent you, and then the way he's looking at us, it hasn't moved since whenever the Joyland
Okay,
Club
yeah.
came out. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, see,
Okay.
I
Like it's an
wouldn't-
opportunity
I wouldn't
miss,
feel
'cause
that way.
He
if the-
should have updated it. Like John M. Chu should have like.
Yeah, but that assumes he would know about it.
I assume he.
Like
would.
if you had gotten a Singaporean director,
Yeah.
he probably would have had, because it's someone who lives in Singapore. He probably would have presented it much differently.
Right. Maybe.
I agree with you. Watching a movie is like going to a Chinese restaurant in America. You know, and
Right. Right.
everything looks gaudy, and the food doesn't really taste like Chinese food. I
So
don't know
many
what
jokes
it
I
is.
could make.
Make one.
No.
Oh, come
I'll
on.
save it for the next segment when we talk about something else. I promise. We'll get there though.
Okay. Well, should
Unless
we
you
move-
want me to talk about it now. All right,
move
fine.
on?
Do it.
The joke I was going to make is you said it's like going to a Chinese restaurant in America, and I thought, what, full of black people? And the reason I say that is A, I'm a fan, and B, because I wanted to bring up, going back to what you said about, oh, it's just a comedy. I cringed when, what's her face, Aquafina suddenly began to behave like she was from the Bronx.
But she always does that. That's her thing.
But she doesn't always do that, because if you watch her interview, she's not doing that.
Oh.
Someone like MC Jin, there are speech mannerisms that he has
Yeah.
that exist in his language every time he opens his mouth.
So it's like the Dave
and
Chappelle thing. There's like
Yeah.
the street and there's jobbing.
exactly, yes. And she would do this stuff,
That's- Well, okay.
and it made me cringe because to me it seems very put on. Because, okay, Forest Hills, Queens is not the hood. LaGuardia High School is an arts high school. There's no metal detectors because all the flutes would set them off.
What was that in reference to?
That's where she went to high school. She went to high school at a,
You mean Aquafina?
yeah.
not
She
the
went to
character.
she went to high school.
But I like her videos though. My badge is pretty funny.
But even then, like you didn't even know that's an answer video.
I didn't. But
Okay,
I watched
but-
it, but I enjoyed it.
So you know, the same people who would scream about cultural appropriation and whitewashing and everything else, why is it okay for her to do that? And I'm not saying it isn't okay, but I'm saying, why is it okay for her to behave in that grossly stereotypical manner? And then people say, oh, it's just a comedy. Okay, but like we've said before, well, Breakfast at Tiffany's is just a comedy. Oh, it's different. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to avoid having some sort of sin when they
What's
make
in,
a film.
What's in Breakfast at Tiffany? Just for the viewers.
It's Mickey Rooney. It's the classic horrific. I don't even remember his name, but and I'm not going to do it. I know that's where you're trying to get me to go. I'm not going to do it. Mickey Rooney pretending to be a Japanese man, and it's offensive because he
perverted one,
really
too.
overplays it. I mean, John Wayne as Genghis Khan in The Conqueror is different. It's still bad, okay, but it's
They taped his eyes, wasn't it, right?
probably yeah.
okay.
But you know what? Everybody that worked on that movie got cancer and died because of nuclear fallout. So I kind of let it slide. That's another story.
What?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna
the
look that
Conqueror. And was it Natalie Wood? I think it was Natalie Wood as Genghis Khan's wife or something. She doesn't look very Mongolian, but that's not my point. And if you want to feel that that's entertaining, go ahead. But then what does that say if someone, and it certainly ain't me, what if somebody thinks Mickey Rooney is entertaining? And that, to me, is the real value of this film, is it is encouraging people, or almost forcing us, to have these kind of conversations. Because we, seriously, the three of us have been talking about this for about 2 weeks, ever since we watched it.
Well, there's
I
a
thought
bigger-
Awkwafina was actually one of the better parts.
Oh, she was interesting, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
at least an interesting
She said
character.
Filial piety.
Filial piety. No,
You see that in like
Asian Americans say it.
Yeah,
Okay, and
it's one of those really awkward words.
well, it's because it's the only time
Why can't we just say like respect your parents?
because it doesn't exist outside. Because
Well, I've used that.
Everybody-
I
my
know,
work
but
I've used
you can't say that out loud. Can you say that out loud? I
because
couldn't, like, she's-
respecting your parents is a fairly common thing, but the
Yeah.
idea of filial piety is very specific.
Right.
It's very kind of structured and known, and there's that all those stories and stuff. But that's the thing, is that no one actually says it
you read that word.
outside.
Right.
Yeah, you don't talk about filial piety in Somalia. Like, it just, I'm not saying Somalians don't respect their parents. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you wouldn't say that to a Somalian. Your filial
Like
piety
that.
is quite well developed. You don't say it outside of that.
You should say that in Enter the Constance.
Oh, God.
Well, I think
Hi, I'm the meter man. I'm here to check your filial piety. Bow, bow, bow. Anyway, Jesus.
I think there is a bigger issue at hand besides the movie is
Yeah.
the Asian American culture. They have a difficult time on identifying who they are throughout the decades.
That is
right?
true.
And so, therefore, whenever they try to be something, there's always a negative comment. If you try to act too American, then you're too American. If you're trying to act like black people, then you get laughed at, and and not everybody can be Bruce Lee, and so therefore it's really difficult for them. For myself growing up, it's because now with the Asian film markets flourishing, people can they aspire to being like a Jackie Chan? Of course not, because he has a very heavy Chinese accent, and nobody would consider Jackie Chan to be an Asian American or Chinese American, right? So.
Oh, okay.
No.
No, he's like aspired to be Jackie Chan. I mean, like
For Asian Americans
be
to
the equivalent of stardom.
well to
Yeah.
as a role model, as somebody who like I want to be like him, right? So we've had a generation of Bruce Lee, and that didn't work out too well because now I think they realize how unique Bruce Lee was, and you just can't copy it.
Yeah,
It's not like it's like music. I want to start making U2 music, right? So you can't. That's just not
wouldn't
done,
work.
right? So
No.
so therefore they're kind of left out. It's hard for them to find their identity. It really is. I feel for them, and I'm hoping this movie could do a lot for them.
Right.
Yeah, what matters to me is that they like it and people that are not like it as well. Like, I think that's the most important thing that could. That's
Well,
probably
I
the
hope
best thing
I
to
hope
come
they
out
like
of
it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
What are the right reasons?
I've seen some posts like, oh, they finally showed an Asian male body that's sexy.
Yeah, they want that though.
But is that it?
But that's
Is that all it
that's
takes?
One of the things. I don't know. I wanted to jump in and shower that guy. Like, we're like, whoa, shit.
I know so many Asian guys who are very, buff and, whatever, and that is not an identity. That just,
Well, no, but it's not it's a
But
question of representation,
Right,
because Asian women have been so hypersexualized in media
Yeah.
for so many decades, and the men have really not been. This ought to be good.
I mean, why do they have to show that montage of close-up of the guy's behind and his abs and everything? It was like an Asian
It's
porn
like a
movie.
Magic Mike moment,
I don't
right?
care.
Like, you just kind
Yeah,
of fawn
like-
over it.
It didn't really bother me.
The camera lingered on.
Yeah,
that.
no, I do. I felt
That's
weird.
fine. I
I
mean,
mean, I
you
was
know.
joking about wanting to jump into showers, but I could
No,
feel
you weren't.
you get like the whole room got a little more moist.
To be
So
able to
that
see
does
You
it
your
should
for-
look at the screen and say, "I can take a shower." Wow. Like that.
I've taken a lot of showers. I never looked like that.
I could take a shower now.
Right, but I kind of feel it's moist in here. It's no, like
No,
the
I know,
idea
I know.
of changing those things, and that's Hollywood sometimes I think does that in kind of a loop where they'll say like we can't cast an Asian guy in the lead because they're not popular. Well, they're not popular because you don't cast them in a lead. You do,
Right,
and
right,
it goes around and. Even the, like you said, the issue of accents, that always annoyed me. They tried to say that Chow Yun-fat and Jackie Chan couldn't be famous because of their accents. I have two words for you. Ow, ow! Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Antonio Banderas. They have accents, but somehow that was okay. And then you get new generation, people like Karen Mok and Daniel Wu and all of these stars who speak English without an accent, and they go to auditions and are like, can you do an accent? Can you go yourself? Like, it's pick a side, you know. So for me, it's always a difficult thing that, like you said, there's these issues of representation, of negotiating an identity.
Right.
I don't envy people that, because that's got to be really difficult. So to me, yeah, I mean, it did seem funny, like, why are they in the shower? But I'm willing to, okay, so he was in the shower, so what? When I see that, it's like, I just think, oh, I shouldn't have had ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I feel about it.
Did you cut out the F word in your videos?
I doubt it.
You
Not
have-
this
you
one.
don't- you keep 'em, right?
Sometimes it depends.
No, I agree with you. I guess.
You are.
I don't know, but I mean, you're right. And to me, okay, going back to what we've all been saying,
Yeah.
that Asian Americans deserve more representation and they deserve more movies. I just hope that they're movies I would enjoy more than this one. I love Better Luck Tomorrow. Okay, I enjoyed Revenge of the Green Dragons, which for some reason people aren't talking about.
Gook is another great movie.
Yeah.
I did see that one.
Gook is a great movie.
There are movies, there are stories that need to be told, and I just, for me personally, like I said, I didn't like any of these characters. I didn't care about any of these people.
Because they're shallow. The movie is
To me,
very shallow.
yeah, the movie was shallow, the people are shallow, it seemed unrealistic, but any other stories, I would be very happy to watch them, because, you know, there are always interesting stories.
Yes, I agree with you.
I just didn't think this was one of them.
See, so I want to share some of your experiences of this movie on social media with some of your friends, with some of the outrageous comments that you've received, that you've seen.
Oh.
Discussions
I
you
wrote
may
a
have
review
engaged
on
in.
my Facebook.
You
Oh,
engaged?
someone said, no, I said, like, when I don't identify as Asian American, I grew up around, but I don't think I have their experience. I consider Chinese and Asian Americans separate groups in the way that their cultures are different, I think. So I was saying, like, I said, when I want to feel represented, I just watch a Chinese movie, I watch a Bruce Lee movie or any kind of movie, and I'll feel empowered or represented from that. And then this Asian American friend he said, well, not all of us can do that, because I grew up in only America, and I don't get to see the life I live on screen. So like this, so it's fine. I got his point.
What was his point?
His point was just that I can't just watch a Bruce Lee movie and feel represented.
Or
Why
that
not?
he doesn't
Because
He
feel
does not.
represented.
Yeah,
But
or
he
other,
looks, does he
and
look
other
in the mirror and
people-
see a white person?
I mean,
Right,
like,
I don't.
Bruce Lee was
fully get
Asian
that.
American, Chinese American.
I
yeah, but
find-
none of his movies like take place. I understand what the person is saying, that I think he wants a more direct representation of his experience.
Yeah, like
And he found that in Crazy Rich Asians.
he didn't say he found it or not. He just said that I oversimplified the issue, because I thought this. I made a joke where I said this movie is probably just down to Asian American actors getting bigger roles, or about Asian American dudes
Getting dates, right?
Getting landing
Yeah.
a date. I think that's what it comes down.
I think
to.
there's truth to that.
Because
you know.
they're the loudest people, these two groups to me, and Constance Wu leading them. So I don't know. I mean, I've always felt like Asian cinema represented me fine. So I don't, if he's saying he doesn't feel represented by that, that's fine. That's his right to not feel that. You know, I don't have any.
I think what they're trying to establish is have an Asian American cinema.
Right.
That,
right.
that
right.
is
I get
never.
that. Yeah.
But you don't really see that in other ethnic groups. You know, you don't really get Italian American cinema, is there?
Well,
You don't.
no,
you
but
see Godfather as just an American film.
and a lot of Italians don't like it. I mean,
Oh, yeah?
but there's enough Italian Americans I mean, you get Martin Scorsese and Francis Coppola. Like, you know, why argue? So I mean, it's kind of like there's no Jewish American cinema, because some people might argue that it all is already. So I think in that specific case, but yeah, there's no. I mean, for someone like me who grew up, you know, in New England in an Irish Catholic family, like if I watch The Departed or The Fighter or Mystic River, like I feel represented. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I feel represented that way. Whereas, like, if I watch, you know, The Commitments or The Full Monty, I don't necessarily feel like that would represent me. I can still relate to it, but I also I don't have the same need for representation.
Yeah. So everybody's needs are different.
Right.
But
And I would, like I said, I would love to see more normal, realistic Asian American stories being told. That's why I really loved Better Luck Tomorrow, because it was kind of based on a true story, and it told things to me in a very honest way.
Yes, that was a groundbreaking movie, but I don't think that was so successful financially, though. I don't
I
think.
think
No.
no, it wasn't.
It was, I mean, it got a lot of attention, but no, it wasn't, because it didn't have, I mean, think about the push.
It launched a lot of careers.
Yeah.
You know, that, so,
Yeah.
I was thinking that you know that side plot in Lethal Weapon 4 about that family that
The one with
gets
Jet Li?
smuggled. Yeah, like there's something in there, you know, that they could have. I don't know.
Yeah, but
That's
again,
where it would, you know.
but see, there again, there's the, why do we always have to be human trafficking victims? Well,
Right,
you don't.
right.
And that's where, because if you make a story about some kid that lives in the suburbs and goes to school, and I'm not saying he's the head of his math class, but he goes to, if you make a very normal story, people don't like normal stories in movies.
Right.
So
Like,
that
we're-
process of negotiating, how do we do all of this, you know, would be very interesting to me.
I recently saw a movie called Truth or Dare. It's a horror movie, and in it there was an Asian kid in it as one of the
This
leads.
is a Hollywood movie.
Yeah, it's a Hollywood movie, and there was a whole subplot of him and his father, but they were playing non-Asian roles. There's nothing about, you know, the father was a cop, and you know he was a gay Asian guy. It's a horror movie, you know, and so there's.
I'm still trying to work out non-Asian role.
No,
Like-
because
like-
You mean it's not
It could've been
stereotypical?
anybody.
It wasn't Asian with the scare quotes around it. You mean okay?
Yes. He was just playing one
Right.
of the students.
Okay.
You know,
There was okay. So there was nothing. Their
people.
ethnicity did not play into the narrative in any way.
Did he die first or second?
He died somewhere in the middle.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
and it was quite dramatic too. I mean, his subplot was, you know, better developed than most other
Yeah.
characters. You know, so there is representation going on in Hollywood, but they're just like not enough. You know, we got to have, you know, more Bruce Lees in Hollywood and
But-
more Chow Yun-fat, but Asian American Chow Yun-fat. you
Okay,
know,
but from
and
the
like-
way you just described Truth or Dare just now, like it meant it had some value to you, right? Just even when sometimes it's just the guy's face, just his skin being there.
I like seeing Asian guys
right,
playing
That's still
non-Asian
something,
roles.
right? Yeah. Because
know,
I think that's
the key.
that's what our debate is about, right? Like, is it
Can
just
you
the
just say
skin, or is it
non-stereotypical, just for me? Just because I want to make sure that we emphasize that point. It's like having an Irish guy in a movie that's not an alcoholic. I always feel like, oh, thank God. So
What's
just
the term you want?
non-stereotypical.
okay?
Non-stereotypical.
But
Yeah.
what I think we're talking about is it just the skin, or is there something in the story? And I
Right.
think there's sometimes value in just skin as well. When people say, well, not enough, well, you have to start somewhere. I think.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if
And
you
I-
look at
I-
Spider-Man's, the
Oh,
new Spider-Man,
the best friend. I love the best friend.
the best friend
yeah,
is
yeah,
an Asian.
Yeah. I
You know,
love
they're
that
all
guy.
over.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but they're saying that an Asian guy should play Spider-Man. You know, but that's not the source material.
It's fiction.
Asian Spider-Man.
Don't go there. Don't do it.
There are
Interesting
Asian
concept, though. Yeah.
There are Asian
superheroes. Yeah.
I mean, Marvel, if they ever do Colleen Wing as a show, I would watch it. You know, in the comics, she and the cop
Misty Knight.
they open a detective agency together, and so they have their own comic book. You know,
So it's like Rush Hour.
yeah. I just want to see, like, like Colleen Wing's character in Iron Fist, it didn't have to be an Asian role. It could have been a non-stereotypical role. I don't like that word for some reason.
Sorry.
Non-stereotypical.
Non-stereotypical, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Atypical. How about because the point that I'm trying to make is Hollywood has decided what is typical Asian, like why is martial arts equated with Asian people? So I'm just trying to do that to be a bit more clear. So that when you say a non-Asian role, it's like, why do you think it's Asian? I don't think that way, but I'm sure somebody on the internet will. That's all. Like
back in the day when Bruce Lee played the Green Hornet, was that an Asian specific role?
He didn't play the Green Hornet. He played Kato.
I'm sorry.
He played Kato.
When he was in the Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Was that an Asian specific role?
Yeah,
Kato,
in the serial radio, it is Kato, right? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But I think it's meant to be Japanese, but I don't think
probably.
they cared.
Yeah, I don't.
We didn't. Nobody said anything.
Nobody knew the difference.
Nobody
as long as it
cares.
wasn't
Nobody
Warner
cares.
Oland. You know.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, how do we look? I think everything we do should be progress, right? And
Hopefully.
I think in some ways CRA is one step forward, two steps back, and if this video is supposed to do something, I hope we make progress of how the next Asian American movie should be made.
You think it's two steps back?
In
Or
some
I guess
ways,
one step back if you do
in
the
some
math.
ways.
But if there was no movie, we wouldn't be here talking about it. So
But-
like, would you want to
but-
live in a world like string theory wise? Would you want to
So
be in a
it-
world where there is or there isn't? Like
but it's not in the case of like any publicity is good publicity,
I don't
because
think it
if you-
damages anything.
Well,
what do you think?
It's one way to get a movie role.
it helps. I think it helps. Okay, to look at it from a business point of view, CRA, because of its success, I think will turn some heads. And if Hollywood, if history taught us
Right.
anything, is Hollywood would jump on this bandwagon and start greenlighting
Yeah.
10 Asian American movies
Sure.
right now,
Don't
right?
milk the teat.
Right. So that's a very positive thing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very, very happy with that. So on that note, CRA is good. But the impact of this movie, how Middle America will see Asian people, and how Asian Americans will view Asians, I think it's not closing that gap.
It's fine because those next movies might do it.
Which one?
Like
The next
whatever
ones.
will be made next.
So it's like
So
you create something to solve a problem, but it created other problems.
No,
for
but
other
No.
movies.
It kicks the door
It kicks
open
the door.
to the room where the problem is.
Right. Okay.
This
Right?
is not Black Panther.
I'll give you that.
Say
Right,
that.
I'll
This
give
is
you
true.
that.
waiting to exhale
This is.
for Asians.
I'll give you that.
I wouldn't even say it's
Waiting
more.
for
Like, this is
exhale?
like Soul Plane.
Okay. Okay. Oh, no. I'll give it Soul Plane. Soul Plane. It's like the
You
Soul
know.
Plane for Asians.
Yeah.
I don't think the black
But
cinema is equal
But
to.
it's not equal. But
Right.
it's like
Well,
we
it's
can
certainly not.
reference the history.
It's
of
certainly
that.
further developed. That
Yeah,
there's,
yeah.
but even there's that weird kind of dialectic tension between making a movie that really mostly only black people will understand,
Yeah.
but might appeal, or trying to make a movie that crosses over.
Right.
You know, movies
For
like
his
like
audience.
the Friday series could cross over. The more you understood about the culture and things of that nature, the more you'd get from it.
Yeah.
But I think Asian American cinema hasn't reached a point where there's enough money. I mean, someone like, was it Justin Lin that
Yeah.
did Better Luck Tomorrow and now has done
Star
the Fast and
Trek.
the Furious. But once there's more people at all those different places, they're going to just out of habit, they're going to want to work together, which is fine. And they'll create movies that even without their trying, they're going to reflect their experience.
Yeah. James Wan too.
That kind of thing, I think, hasn't yet developed enough that there will be movies made by Asian Americans that aren't necessarily explicitly for Asian Americans, but they will have that sensibility that Asian Americans will be able to relate to in a way that people that aren't necessarily from that culture can't.
John
Doesn't mean they're
Woo.
going to miss anything.
Like John Woo directing Mission Impossible. Well, it's it has a signature. Asian American needs to make movies without slapping a label on themselves.
Yeah,
Just
I
tell
think-
compelling stories.
I think that's, as we said, that's kind of later in the process,
Yeah,
which
if
is
you-
fine.
If you have done that and succeeded, Better Luck Tomorrow and the recent Gook comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like Pushing Hands. That was
That's an
that's like
Asian
Ang Lee
movie.
movie. Yeah, I think it's I think it does. Because it's like the
Is that an
wife is
Asian
like a,
movie?
because the husband is, it's like even a, oh, I hate this word. It's okay. It's an interracial relationship in there, and then they have like mixed kids. That made it kind of normal. I don't know. Maybe Asian Americans don't feel represented by that.
Yeah, they don't.
like
I mean, if now you could say,
you seen that one?
yeah.
Okay. Like Ang Lee made that in the States, but with Taiwanese funding, I think. But I don't know how that counts. I don't.
But that I feel.
But I thought the story
that
was
was
very.
American.
You're
North
talking about
American.
Pushing Hands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Just making sure.
Oh, you're talking about Pushing Hands. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I
have
don't know
to
how
see
you
it.
define
I have
it.
to see that movie.
They have a hard time defining who they are as it is. So like, it's hard to define these movies. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw that article about how like Malaysians and Indonesians were like felt misrepresented in this movie.
Sure.
And I actually like, okay, maybe I would, but it's because we called it Asian American representation, but it's really just Chinese American representation.
Right.
Or
Well, what did they
Singaporean
say about the
American.
movie?
That
Well,
they
they-
were servants in the movie. But
Yeah,
that's,
it's
you know.
like I had said to somebody, like Crazy Rich Asians is to Singapore what Friends is to New York. It's like if you watch Friends and you think that's what New York is like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So because if you go to Singapore, yes, you'll see Chinese people, but you'll see a lot of other different kinds of people everywhere. And so to see this very, I don't even know the word, monochrome. There we go, perfect. Monochrome vision of Singapore, which logically perhaps makes sense because the rich people all kind of seek their own kind, and although supposedly the richest man in Singapore is Indian, but that's not my story. No, I'm serious. But that, yeah, like to me, it's not a very good representation of what Singapore actually is, but rich people do essentially live on a different planet from the rest of us.
Yes.
You know.
Okay.
And that kind of skews things.
Yeah. So in the sense of that, like the Singapore that they show you, as long as they said it was crazy rich Singapore, I wouldn't mind. But it's not Singapore. It's the crazy rich 1% of Singapore that you don't ever get to watch.
So now they just have to make a crazy poor Asian movie. That would be good.
I think that was The Killing Fields. I'm sorry, that was an inappropriate joke, and I'm sorry because I'm not apologizing. I don't really feel bad that I made that joke. Well, that's the other. The sequel is, what's it going to be called? China Rich. Well, the next
Rich.
book is China Rich Girlfriend.
China Rich Girlfriend.
And I don't know who's the protagonist in that. Is it an American guy or a Singaporean guy? Because the
Wait,
writer.
it's not continual. It's not.
It's not a sequel?
I'm not saying that. I don't know if they're going to
okay.
continue that story or if they're going to make the next book the next movie.
well,
I
that'll
don't
be
know.
part 2 of this video after we read it.
Because
or-
that's a oh boy. That's yeah.
They did leave kind of a threat, because like the last shot of Michelle Yeoh kind of like walking out of frame was like, oh, she's gonna get a revenge or something. And they didn't show the
Well,
dad. I don't know.
How
what
else
happened.
would she exit?
I don't know. It just thought came in my mind like, oh, maybe that's just no more than that. I don't.
You know, I hope
Yeah.
Hollywood doesn't start this trend of keeping that same word in the title, like Asian. Like they're
Oh,
gonna have,
Harvey Weinstein was
like-
doing that for
like
years.
crazy Asian zombies or crazy Asian cop. You
Right?
know,
Crazy rich Jews. Like, well, hey,
It's
You
always
can't say that.
Hear those words that Harvey Weinstein used to. He used to put legend,
of course.
dragon,
Oh no, that's
in any title. It
yeah.
didn't matter what
yeah,
it was.
the Harvey Weinstein Asian title generator.
It's
Yes.
like, grrr, oh, it's the
Yes.
legend.
Curse of the Crimson Scorpion.
Right. It's
Armor of the Dragon Beast Breath.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You know.
well, I
Curse of the closed
it's
circuit
not-
camera.
I think
no,
he's gonna,
Harvey.
have a whole
He ain't
different.
gonna be up to nothing.
Like Fong Sai-yuk was the legend.
Harvey's gonna be Curse of the Prison Shower. Yeah. What? Don't get mad at me. I'm not the one doing what he did. I'm just joking about it.
Hey, so have we covered everything?
I think we have. Is there any final thoughts?
Was your-
I enjoyed it fine. I see that there's an agenda. I see that people are liking it, and it's fine. It's not a great movie. I don't think it'll have a lot of longevity. I don't want to see it again. People seem to enjoy it. When I was in the theater, like I was sitting next to some high schoolers, and they saw it for a second time because one of the guys was like telling the person next to them, and so I think they enjoy it. They're seeing it again. So there's something in the zeitgeist that's, I don't know, in the mood of people that they want to pay attention to Asian Americans right now. So it's positive to me. I think the girl was fine. I like Michelle Yeoh. We didn't talk about Michelle I liked her performance. I thought she kind of grounded the movie, and I just wish John M. Chu updated how we look at Asians. That was the aesthetic part.
Okay.
I didn't like, but I don't know. It doesn't affect. It's not worth getting mad over. It's positive.
Well, I think the movie, the success of the movie certainly. Well, let me start over.
I'm staying in.
Okay. I think we have to give credit to the success of the movie. It's in its third week and it's still number one. And it's going to make over $100 million domestic, even though it's not going to play in China or not yet. I think people like it, genuinely like it, because maybe it's a feel-good movie, maybe it's a romantic comedy. They like it for various reasons, and it's all legitimate. They have certainly a right to like it. But I think my thing is, the Asian misrepresentation of the movie. Right. They did this movie like it was Eddie Murphy's Coming to America, where, the whole...
That's not a bad comparison.
Yeah, the whole nation is fictitious, cartoonish characters. Basically Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz, right? So, but if you're going to take Singapore and make it into something like that, then you have to take me out of that reality, right? So, I mean, Rachel Chu in the movie doesn't exactly fall into the rabbit hole, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So we're still in reality, and so therefore, I just felt like it was wrong at some levels. That's because I know what Singapore is like, and I know what Asian people are like, having lived in Asia for many years. So the movie is targeted mainly to North Americans, and I think if you leave it at that, then it's a fine movie. And if I hope the audience are looking past the colors and just looking at them as people, and not judging, and not coming away from the movie saying, yeah, that's how those Asians are, they're all crazy and rich. That would be bad, for me, personally, if that was the impact the movie made. Looking forward, I hope this does make progress and open doors for a lot of other better Asian American stories to be told, and so I hope we keep moving on. I think there's a big market here. There's a lot of Asian American stories that needs to be told, and I hope to see them soon.
Okay.
And
I didn't care for the movie, but like I said, that's just because of the subject. I don't think the movie was badly made. It's just I didn't care for any of the characters, and I did kind of get bothered by some of the representation. But as we've said, I really do appreciate the conversation that it's caused. I appreciate the way that it hopefully will allow people to tell other stories that I would like better. I'm not saying there'll be better stories, just stories that I would like better, and I think that's only fair. It's going to be interesting, as we said, to see what happens with the sequel. But it really, to me, the biggest thing is it's put this conversation right in front of people. And it's an ongoing conversation. So in that sense, I do really admire the movie for achieving that. But I wouldn't want to watch it again. I just didn't enjoy it. So anyway, thank you for watching if you've made it this far. And when the next movie comes out, I'm sure we'll do it again. Bye.
don't you say, like, go see the movie and don't rip it off? Or you always have that.
Yeah, but that's a regular review. This is a discussion.
He wants people to rip this one.
No, I don't. No, I mean, no. If you want to go see it, go see the movie. Like I said, just because I don't like it doesn't mean people go watch it. Don't steal it, all right? Because Constance Wu needs a bigger house, and if you steal the movie, she won't get paid the money she obviously deserves for this movie because she deserves it. Just look at her.
She'll tell you.
I didn't say that. He said that. Okay, he said that. I didn't say that. All right. Anyway, maybe she can buy a bigger rabbit. I don't know.